Hello everybody and good morning. I wanted to make a update video on the current status for my own RPG rules I've been working on for many months, and it has seen very many renditions and quite a few title changes. That's one characteristic of mine, is I just cannot ever seem to stay on one track. But this past week, which I have been off for work because of vacation, I've been thoroughly working away at my latest edition, and finally I've found a tone and a theme. This has been a rewarding experience because this past week, what you're looking at has mostly been the foundation, and it's probably my most consistent week for my RPG. So I went from Solitary Chronicles to Deadly Chronicles because I want this RPG to have the theme of death in it, no matter the context or the world setting that it is going to be used for. The goal of it is to be a genre neutral setting. So let's go through it. As you can see, it's not exactly in a presentable stage. It's more of an outline for myself to reference. The idea I always had for my own RPGs that it's one I want to use on my own because I'm very jumpy on what system I like to use. I'm always thinking of trying different system, and it's overwhelming. So I want to have my own system I can use behind the scenes. Whether or not I release it to itch or to Drive Through RPG, it's debatable, but mostly unlikely. But Deadly Chronicles is my current version of my own rules, and what I want to have is obviously an introduction and a roles section, but those two things would be added if I do on putting this up in the public's in a publicly accessible site, such as again Inch.io or DriveThruRPG. So this is kind of written for you guys to see, but more so for my own interpretation, for my own use. So we have the character concept, which is like it says before you actually detail the character's statistics and values of such, the usual ability scores and etc. and timing of and stats essentially. You decide on the character concept. You include the details such as their name, gender, race, age, physical appearance, origin story, etc. I may expand on this a bit. I want to include perhaps, family, lineage, heritage, motivation, goals, past omens, stuff like that. A lot of it, inspired by from other games I've played. The section here is currently named the Death. I'm calling the attributes ability scores for now. I don't really have another staple to use, but it's basically dexterity, endurance, acumen, tenacity, and heart. This is obviously inspired by the Fallout RPG or the Fallout in general special acronym. So each one it covers an aspect of a character's actions. Then there is what I prefer to use nowadays, and that's the hit tracker or hit count. The hit tracker basically keeps track of your damage intake before you reach death incarnate. The maximum amount is determined by rolling a 3d6 and choosing the highest die. As you can see, if you haven't noticed already, this is a 3d6 game. I've been torn on making this uh, a 2d6 game using Powered by the Apocalypse, a D100 game, which was voted by you guys, but I leaned away from it recently. Again, it might change, but the 3d6 one makes the most sense to me based on this foundation. I've been looking at the Savage Worlds method by using die types comparatively to the appropriate ability score within skills. I've looked at the kind of a mod of the Powered by the Apocalypse, and that is the Iron Sword, which you roll a d6 or so compared to 2d10 dice, and there's that level of success between complete success, partial, and failure. So there's all these open mechanics out there, but the 3d6 has been so far my most appropriate dice mechanic in at the core of the game. So then we have armor. The armor is the amount of damage you can negate before you take actual damage. It's based on the sum of the equipped armor, so basically just armor points essentially. Any critical damage does decrease the armor. So I do want to have a method of quality in the armor. So if you do take a critical hit from the opposing party, your armor can degrade and break, becoming useless, disregarded, as it says in there. Money, simply you roll 3d6 to sets. You don't actually multiply it. It's just what you're stuck with. You can roll 3, you can roll 18 gold pieces or whatever currency this setting will be. Um, Now, this little section is obviously heavily inspired by the Karen method, where you roll your starting inventory per tables in order, then there's a bonus item. So each one is a D6 table, not as spread out like the Kieran one. We have more choices based on D20 tables, but I have D6 for armor, helmet, shield, weapons, exploration tools, and trinkets, and then you do a bonus roll um, based on each table to roll again. The mechanic is easy currently. It's just called taking action. Any action that has a risky outcome, choose the appropriate ability and roll a 3d6. So, like I said, if you roll, it's a roll under system. If the roll is below, it's a success. If you roll exact, it's a critical success. If the roll is above, it's a failure. Then there's the difficulty modifiers, which only impact the actual ability score during that moment of action. So if the action being taken has a notable difficulty, then a modifier is applied to the actual score. You have a +4 for very easy down to a -4 for very hard. That way, if it's a very hard task action, the -4 is put onto your ability score, and thus it closes your window of success or opportunity when you roll for it, making it thus harder. Then you have the built advantage and disadvantage. If your origin story or another reason ambush may give you an advantage, then roll 46, choosing the lowest of the three rolls. If there's a disadvantage due to environmental circumstances, then roll 46, choosing the highest of three rolls. So that is obviously a familiar trait for everybody. You would do the same in D&D if there were disadvantage or advantage, if you're wearing too much armor or if you have the surprise factor when ambushing a adversary, then you would roll 2d20s using the highest and lowest. So the section I'm stuck at or currently on standby is combat. Combat it has been this weird ongoing battle of in my internal um, noggin for some reason. I can never stick with one system, but when I was chatting about the recently acquired RuneScape Kingdoms, I actually really enjoyed their method of encounters, of in combat. So what they do is put all the dice rolling on the hands, in the hands of the player character, of the player. The player would roll, attack, the type of attack, and then there will be a difficulty number based on the enemy's size, which I made a video about my hack for RuneScape Kingdoms, which I modified that and combined it to just a difficulty number based on a rank or a level, the difficulty of the enemy. So that would modify your roll, your target number, quote unquote, making it either harder or easier to hit the enemy. And then damage is calculated based on the difference, which I was also debating on keeping or throwing away for my hack. I was thinking, oh, I'll just use weapon die, but then using um, that would make it an easier mechanic, one less roll when the weapons have a base damage effect. Plus, if you roll under more than one, you would do additional damage based on the roll. That grew on me. So I think I might imply some. apply some type of mod to that to my combat system as I think about it more. But for now, it's on standby. I'm more focused on this um, this current setup. So let me know what you guys think. It's almost kind of useless for me to share this right now because this will change, but I want to give you guys something that I want to show that this hasn't just been chilling in the back uh, on the shelf for so long, but actually is modified by me, every so often each week. I kind of, put in change my mind on things and always swap around. But this is my current state for formerly Solitary Chronicles, now called Deadly Chronicles or Deathly Chronicles. I'm still also just thinking about that kind of name, Deathly Chronicles. I think that would be just better ring to it, but we'll see. So I'll put this in here or Deadly. But in any event, this was a simple workshop, not really a themed video, or not really a RPG, solo RPG video, but I hope you guys enjoyed to an extent, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.